amazing. And I love the evaluative process. I often go back to one of my first evaluators who really offered some great constructive feedback for me to improve. So, without further ado, as excuse me, I'm so at a loss for words this morning. Sterling has fabulous body language, possibly as a result of the martial arts, but there were several things that he did well, one of which was to really command the space. It's almost as if he took a cue from Ann Cuddy and Mary T. with those power poses. He looked very strong and confident throughout the entire duration, which really set the tone for the subject that he was talking about, which was naturally something that he's very familiar with, martial arts. Something else that Sterling did very, very well was he utilized his introduction. So I'm reading Robert Cialdini's Influence, and he talks about how we can influence other people, and one of the effective ways to do that is to have someone else say fabulous things about you. So I thought that that was an extraordinary use of it. So before he even stepped on the stage, we were like, right, we were already very excited to hear about what he was going to talk about and his expertise in the manner. The third thing that I thought Sterling did extremely well was engage with the audience. His use of eye contact and the way he engaged was natural and effortless. These are things that seem to come, because I'm not sure if those are acquired skills, but they were so natural as you performed them, as you did them, that I thought, wow, that's just in his skill set. He just got that down to a science because it was effortless and very, very smooth. So if the speech were just about smoothness, Sterling, I would have given you 5 stars with like a plus at the end, because those things are achieved. However, I think the challenge with all of us is to engage those areas where there are opportunities for improvement. So a couple of opportunities for improvement that I saw for you was the way you organize your information. So given that, wow, is it green already? Okay, so running down this really well, I'll just go over. For the way that you organize your information. And I think that there's a challenge when it's information that we know that we already possess, because frankly we could go on forever about it. So focusing it, limiting it, organizing it can then be a challenge. I thought an effective way for you to organize your information might have been compare and contrast. And that's given that you talked about a traditional black belt, and then you wanted to talk about, I heard you talk about other kinds of black belts that didn't meet the same standards. When you're talking about children in Korea being able to get black belts, and then the value of that belt. So I thought that might have been a good way for you to organize your information. And then I also felt that given the subject nature, there were so many foreign terms that the audience may or may not have been familiar with, in which case organization would have been even more important, because you're throwing out words that we're not necessarily familiar with. And while they're very natural and organic to you, at least for me, they weren't. So I had a hard time remembering them, because I think you used one word, ganjinoms, and I understood how important that was, but I thought it would have been maybe a little bit more effective if you introduced the term, kind of explained it, and then maybe referred it back to it. Because at the end of the day, you want us to be able to retain some of that information as we reflect back on what you spoke about. And it's really challenging with foreign terms that the audience isn't familiar with to be able to pull them back. In fact, if I hadn't written it down, I don't think I would have been able to recall that. And then finally, just a couple of suggestions for improvement. I find the organization speech to be a little challenging because I'm reluctant to be pedantic with it. However, I do think sometimes that when you're like, my first point is, my second point is, my third point is, I think if the goal is for your audience to remember that information, then it can be a very effective tool to use. Overall, however, I can't place enough emphasis on how important it is to engage with the audience and to make that eye contact and to have them feel comfortable with you. I know that you're doing some of this to improve your business. So at the end of the day, at the end of that presentation, I would have bought whatever you were selling, right? Clearly an expert, very, very good at it, making people feel extremely comfortable with you. So I would encourage you to please just take these points and opportunities for improvement as just that, but they really don't detract from an extraordinary speech.